When you hear the word waste, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably an overflowing trash can, right? Maybe a giant landfill. But what if I told you that's just the tiniest sliver of the real picture? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a much bigger, way more powerful idea of what waste really is. And trust me, understanding it can completely change how you think about productivity. Okay, let's just dive right in. Take a look at this. We are not just talking about physical stuff like solids, liquids, and gas. No. The concept of waste, the real concept, goes so much deeper. It's lost time, it's unused machine capacity, it's untapped human skills, even data that you collect and then never ever use. This is a total paradigm shift in how we see inefficiency in pretty much everything we do. So to really get a handle on this, we're going to need a new definition. We have to move past thinking of waste as just a physical thing and start seeing it for what it is, a problem baked into a system. And here it is. This is the big idea from our source material. Waste isn't so much a thing as it is a concept. Think about it. It's any resource you put into a system that didn't actually need to be there, or any result that comes out of a system that you didn't want. And this applies to everything. Making a sandwich, running a factory, writing code that never gets shipped, or, my personal favorite, sitting through a meeting that absolutely could have been an email. It's all about inefficiency. Now, here's where it gets really cool. When you start to understand waste this way, it completely reframes how you think about performance and productivity. Because it turns out they're not just related, they are fundamentally linked. This diagram just nails it. On one side, you've got resource management, which is all about squeezing every last drop of value out of your inputs. And on the other side, you have waste management, which is about minimizing everything that gets lost along the way. But here's the kicker. They both lead to the exact same place, optimal performance. They are, quite literally, two sides of the very same coin. In fact, you can boil this whole relationship down to a crazy simple but really profound equation. Productivity equals 1 minus wastivity. Just let that sink in for a second. If you have zero waste, well, you have 100% productivity. Makes sense, right? If you have 30% waste, you've only got 70% productivity. The big takeaway here is that if you want to get more productive, the most direct, most effective path is to just attack the waste. Okay, so I just dropped a brand new term on you, wastivity. Now, this isn't just some clever buzzword. It's a real, practical tool that lets us actually measure inefficiency. So let's break down what it actually means. So officially, wastivity is the ratio of the total waste in a system to the total input you put in. It gives you a number, a percentage, that tells you exactly how much of your effort, your materials, your time, whatever, is not getting converted into something useful. It's basically a report card for inefficiency. Let's make this super simple. Imagine you're baking an apple pie. Your total input is, say, 10 apples. But while you're prepping, you realize 2 of them are spoiled. You can't use them. That's your waste. So to find your wastivity, you just divide the waste, the 2 apples, by your total input, the 10 apples, and you get 0.2 or 20%. Boom. Your pie-making system has a wastivity of 20%. It's that easy. And this idea gets even more powerful. You can actually talk about 2 different kinds of wastivity. There's gross wastivity, which is just all the waste you produce, period. But then there's net wastivity. That's what's left over after you account for anything you recycle or reuse. So in our pie example, if you composted those 2 bad apples to help fertilize your apple tree, your net wastivity would actually be lower than your gross. It shows how recycling is a direct weapon against wastivity. All right, so now we can define waste, and we can even measure it. But what do we actually do about it? Well, the key is having a system. So let's take a look at what a good one looks like. This diagram lays out the whole life cycle. It all starts, of course, with waste generation. Now, from there, the first and always the best option is reduction. Don't make the waste in the first place. Whatever is left over has to be collected, sorted, and stored. Then we look at recycling and reuse. And only what's left after all of that goes to the final stage, disposal. It's a clear hierarchy of what to do first. And even that final disposal stage isn't just about chucking it in a bin. This flowchart shows there's an intelligent decision-making process going on. Before you get rid of something for good, you ask a bunch of questions. Hey, is this thing reusable just as it is? Is it economical to recycle it? Can I salvage anything useful from it? You see, disposal is the absolute last resort, only after you've exhausted every other possibility of finding value. So, where does all of this take us? What's the ultimate goal of thinking this way? Well, it's a really powerful concept called a zero waste. Now, it's really important to get this right. Zero waste doesn't mean we live in some magical world where we literally produce zero trash. It's a design philosophy. The goal is, number one, to minimize waste at every single step of a process. And then, for that little bit of waste that is inevitably created, you find an effective use for it. It's a philosophy that forces us to be creative, to build circular systems where the output from one process becomes the input for another. So, let's just do a quick recap of this whole journey. First, we completely redefined waste. It's not just trash, it's any inefficiency anywhere. Second, we gave it a name and a number, wastivity, showing that it's the direct opposite of productivity. Third, we saw that you need a system to manage it, one that always prioritizes reducing and reusing. And finally, we saw the true goal of it all, the philosophy of zero waste, which is all about putting every single resource to its most effective use. Once you have this lens, you start to see things differently. It makes you ask a really powerful question, not just about your trash can, but about your job, your schedule, your projects. So I'll leave you with this. Where is the hidden waste in your world?